Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this August 13th, 2019 global broadcast. I am your host, Alex Jones, riding shotgun with Owen Schroyer, and we're going to be here for the next 4 hours broadcasting, covering all the huge global developments. Now, yes, the Epstein developments are stratospheric. There's nothing like it that has woken more people up. We're going to be covering that coming up in about 12 minutes. But first off, the United States really is at war with China. We've been in a proxy war for many years. The globalists, the Democrats particularly, but along with the neocons, set it up where we were deindustrialized and where everything was shipped to China, and where it was set up where they would economically dominate us, where they bought up our debt, they bought up Hollywood. And there's been really no news coverage of this, but now it's all starting to come out. We've been exposing this for really 20 years, to hand over the Panama Canal, all the deep ports, the infrastructure, the control over rare earth minerals. Anybody else, U.S. companies, Russian companies, try to go in and get rare earth minerals anywhere. International courts come after them. The CIA comes after them. So China has been positioned to absolutely manipulate currencies, be given all of our weapons secrets, just to be set up to take over in the 21st century, which the Council on Foreign Relations and the globalists have openly bragged about. What was left of the British Empire that took over the U.S. after World War I now is done with the U.S. and is moving on to China. I want to be clear. That is not the British people. That is not the people of Ireland or Scotland or the UK. That is the globalists that sucked off those people, built an empire. Then it moved on to the U.S. to suck off us to build a corporate empire. Now it's moving on to China to bring in its final world government. Well, we've had Peter Thiel come out again on Fox Business and lay it all out. Next segment, I'm going to play a clip of it and say we're really at war with China, and that there are post-nationalists in America that are working with China, and that Google and Apple and others have moved there and are working against us. Well, Thiel's a Bilderberg insider. He's been in the globalist ranks. He's been a libertarian. He's been pro-nationalist at many levels. So we've always said that we weren't sure if he was a good guy or bad guy, because they were trying to bring in the new generation of people to join them. And not everybody that's part of these globalist systems is actually for it. They've been working against it. More and more, Thiel shows that that is exactly what he's doing. But China invaded, as you know, with plainclothes police and military on thousands of motorcycles last month into Hong Kong. They're threatening to physically invade Taiwan. They're threatening to physically invade with regular Army and Navy forces. This is a powder keg in the South China Sea. And so now this is really reaching ahead. It's really coming to a flashpoint, because even more troops and more plainclothes have poured in the last 3 days and are viciously attacking demonstrators all over Hong Kong. This intimidation didn't work. Men, women, and children being beaten with these clubs, these metal clubs, having their heads split open, their bodies split open. Some people have been killed. Now they're reporting many times who were already out demonstrating. Tens of thousands before is now hundreds of thousands. Some are saying millions, taking over airports, taking over government buildings, taking over anything that the Chi-Coms have been in control of. And even mainstream news admits communist China has miscalculated in a big way. Communist China has absolutely thought that they could bully and intimidate folks in Hong Kong who've already been pushed to the brink, who are now learning their businesses can be taken with no due process. They can be arrested and extradited to the mainland to disappear to a slave gulag. That's what the government that's working with the Chinese is doing, selling out what's left of the Hong Kong freedom. So instead of going into that long, dark night, they are saying no, and they are fighting back, and it is absolutely amazing. And they're waving American flags. It's just incredible seeing America as a symbol of freedom. We come back with a deal on this and so much more. Then shift gears to the biggest news yet with Jeffrey Epstein, who was heard shrieking and fighting for his life. Yes, he clearly, all evidence points to him, was strangled. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of incredible things are happening across this world. We're building towards this massive quickening. Alex Jones here, again, riding shotgun with Owen Schroyer. Such huge global events. China has miscalculated with Hong Kong and Taiwan and with the U.S. taking over much of the South China Sea, now using paramilitary to take over Hong Kong. They thought that they could intimidate all of the people. They thought that they could drive them into submission. That's caused the protests to grow exponentially. Second day of the international airport being completely shut down, and there are large throngs of the hundreds of thousands or even millions of different demonstrators popping up everywhere that are waving American flags. It's truly a beautiful moment where now the world sees America as it used to be, a beacon of liberty and freedom, not a beacon of tyranny, backing up the Chi-Coms, taking over the planet, backing up all these other groups. And there was an intriguing interview with Tucker Carlson a month ago with Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel came out and said, look, big companies don't like America. They're globalists. They were trained to do it. It's the Chinese century. They're all moving to China, Apple, Google. They should be investigated for espionage. And now he's come out and said the truth again. Again, billionaire tech investor. He says that there are post-nationalists in the West, in America, that don't like our country existing, that say it was never great, never be great, like Chris Cuomo's brother and the governor of New York, and that these post-nationalists, that's what globalists are, they are working with China to carry all this out. This is such a huge deal, ladies and gentlemen. And so let's go ahead and go to a few minutes of this interview. The full Fox Business interview is on Infowars.com in a critical Steve Watson article, Paul Joseph Watson's great brother, and it's so important to get that article out to everyone you know, so the information is there so Americans know who the true threat is. Here it is.
It's quite significant that China's intelligence agencies have been seeding people into American companies. I want to ask you about what's going on in Silicon Valley in terms of espionage, in terms of what's happening with Chinese nationals working within our companies. There are Confucius Institutes in Silicon Valley, right by Stanford University. What's your take on all of that?
Well, this gets very speculative. It certainly would be odd if there wasn't something like this going on. And again, to zero in on the Google example, where the AI DeepMind effort was described by its own founder as a Manhattan Project for AI. And so even though this was meant as probably, marketing hyperbole in a way, I think that, people outside the U.S. might very well take that literally. And so if you go around saying, here's the Manhattan Project for AI, pay attention world, I think that would attract the attention of foreign governments, foreign intelligence agencies, and I think in particular the question about Chinese interest in this is one that needs to be looked at much more carefully, and that's why I've argued that the FBI or the CIA should be looking at this.
Do you get pressure because you've supported President Trump?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of questions there. So I think there's always an inside and an outside question. The outside question is, what are these companies doing with China? Are they censoring speech? And the Twitter McConnell thing, you could say it's an innocent accident, or is it an intentional act of political sabotage? Which of the two is it? And I think one of the reasons the Republicans are so skeptical of the excuses big tech has for these repeated accidents is that the inside story is not good. Because on the inside, Twitter's not a company where you have lots of people writing checks to Senator McConnell. If you had a lot of campaign donations from Senator McConnell, we might say, well, to Senator McConnell, we might say this is sort of an innocent mistake, and we won't complain about it too much. That's not what's actually going on, and it has sort of the feel of a very unhealthy one-party state in a way that's not good for Silicon Valley or for the politics of this country generally. The
president can't even have a fundraiser without the people getting bullied about that fundraiser. It's gone. It's crazy. It's real Trump derangement syndrome happening.
And it is always I'm sort of the main outspoken supporter of President Trump inside Silicon Valley. There are many other people in Silicon Valley who support the president, but they're not going to say it. And so that's always the problem. It's unanimity doesn't mean that everybody agrees. It normally just means that everybody is too scared to speak up.
There you go. Everybody else is just too scared to speak up. That's what all the bullying is about. The left wants a one-party state. They've been promised incredible power. Coming up later, if I have time, I'm going to show you the Twitter account of a well-known leftist comedian who saw me at the pool, and then she dreams about coming up and confronting me, and then her Twitter supporters dream about violently kicking me down the stairs, stepping on my hand when my hand's outside the pool. I've had leftists do that before. That happened to me in Hawaii 2 years ago, and physically attacking me. And then they say, we can't believe that there was a woman and children with him. Who are those people? Oh, I know, my children were taken away from me, the media said. None of that's true either. So, again, you've got this hunchbacked hag, pissed I've got a beautiful wife and beautiful children. So she also says I look like a pedophile. Hey, lady, that's your political party. In her tweets. I'm going to show it later about time. It's just, to experience the left, to be Trump or like an Alex Jones or a Tucker Carlson, what you experience is just unbelievable, because you shake 50 hands, but that 50th person says, I'm going to kill you. So I have to walk around with security. If I want to go out, people say, well, just, you shouldn't go out. You should just hide somewhere. No, I'm not hiding, ladies and gentlemen. We're the majority. Plus, we're in the right. We're not backing down. Now, let me stop right there. So we're going to break in just a few minutes. And so when we come back, start your engines, ladies and gentlemen. Start your engines, because the information that's coming on Epstein is more ham-fisted, more insane, more over the top, more crazy than I could even believe. CBS News is reporting exactly what you'd expect. The inmates next door heard him shrieking, basically, and begging. And the guards, one who didn't work there, brought in separately, suddenly that day, with the lights turned off, cameras turned off, and the other guards told, go home early. This is all confirmed. And as they go in, he begins screaming, and they say, oh, breathe, breathe, fight for your life. And I agree with Tim Pool in his analysis, because when I read Paul's headline about screeching and yelling and them saying, breathe, breathe, I thought, oh, that's them strangling him, and he's saying, breathe, breathe. Well, then Tim Pool, as I read the articles, like being quoted, saying you could just, this is just standard. You're not choking yourself screaming and yelling, okay? And then people run in and say, oh, breathe, breathe. That's not even procedure. You just check the neck and try to breathe in their mouth or whatever. Okay, maybe. All these weird coincidences have happened, all lined up, and it's right after the documents come out, and all the procedures and default positions are turned off. He's taking off suicide watch. He's put in a room alone they're not supposed to do. You can't kill yourself with the sheets because they're too thin. They're like paper, on and on and on. And then magically, the jail guards brought in that didn't even work there. And then they go in, and then they tell the other guards go and don't do the 30-minute checks. And then all of a sudden, oh, breathe, breathe. And then he's taken out and he's dead. Pretty amazing. I'm going to cover it all when we come back from break. But remember, we can't finance this operation if it isn't for you. And we are changing the world right now. I cannot tell you the people that have called me, the support I've gotten, the apologies I've gotten on Twitter, on Facebook, in phone calls. A lot of famous people have called me. A lot of famous, well-known people, even on the left, I guess, who have a soul, have come out and said, okay, we apologize to Alex Jones. We've got to really find out what's going on. Because they know all the pedophilia is coming out. And the pedophilia rings, mainly run by the Democrats. A lot of Republicans are going to be involved as well. But it's run by the Democrats. They're the right arm of the globalist, okay? And they know what they're doing. And people are now separating themselves from it, as they should. They're making the decision to say, okay, you've been right about a lot of stuff way ahead of time. We just couldn't believe it. We want to be separated. But here's the difference. I'm seeing tweets everywhere where people are saying, oh, I hope the Clinton death count includes Trump soon, and we're glad that the Clintons are tough. I heard that on the airplane flying to San Diego when it was first announced Epstein was dead. A lot of these people know what's going on. They like the pedophilia. They like the evil. The leftists are so twisted, they think it's cool. Infowars.com, newswars.com. Spread those links. Defeat the enemy. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday, August 13th, 2019 Global Broadcast. Owen Schroyer riding shotgun with me. He'll be popping in some this segment and next segment. Now, I'm hyperventilating because there's so much incredible news, so many amazing things taking place all around us. It's just an amazing world. So I'm sitting here, I'm watching an aircraft carrier leave port It's just amazing scene to watch this floating city right out the window here in San Diego. But continuing, Trump comes out with this leak, which is designed on purpose to let the left know they're serious yesterday, that the FCC is going to come in and look at the censorship happening at big tech companies and treat them like a public utility or telecom, which is constitutional. They're going to stop them prohibiting content that's not barred by FCC, and that would be pornography, that would be illegal porn, that would be illegal gambling ads, that would be hacking ads, that would be calls to violence or cuss words, which they're going to have rules saying you can cuss, obviously, on the internet. And I don't even like that. But the internet has become the public square, and Google and Apple and others have gone under authoritarian rules and are already acting as governments. So the First Amendment is a law stating you can't prohibit something. So Trump is saying we're going to have a law prohibiting under the First Amendment that you can't take rights. Still dangerous, but it's our government, it's our country, and it's against big tech censorship. But that's only part of the executive order. Trump continues and says, but really it's going to be the Federal Trade Commission will have an open complaint system and criminal investigations and civil lawsuits, both, over the racketeering, over the bullying, over the voter suppression. And that's exactly what we needed. That's only part of what's on the table in the drafts. There's taking government funding away through government grants that Google, Apple, Twitter, and others get billions in. There's removing them off military bases and government installations, saying they're working with China so that they can't be trusted, like Huawei. This is all a very exciting time. And notice suddenly, I'll talk about it next segment, with the gentleman who exposed all of this, Chris Cuomo blew up at That's the Point with Brandon. That's the host's name. That's the name of the show. YouTube first took it down when it was going viral, but then the president's son said something and others pointed it out and they put it back up. So see, oh, you show Chris Cuomo in public threatening to physically attack somebody, YouTube took it down. But as soon as they got backlash, they put it back up. They're not as arrogant as they used to be. Now, let's get to the big enchilada that we'll obviously cover with Mark Randazza, the lawyer who got these documents last week. There's big developments on that front. We're also going to have Bob Barnes joining us, Hotep Jesus, always informative. Going to be coming on again, and Owen Schroyer riding shotgun. But this next news is so big that I think, should I started the show with it? No, China basically being at war with the U.S. and proxy wars is bigger, and Trump getting ready to move against censorship in general is huge. But the way this Epstein case captured the public's mind and was like Toto pulling back the curtain in The Wizard of Oz, showing the little man behind the curtain, it probably is bigger than everything because it symbolizes the awakening. One scumbag pimp that procured underage people and children and for rituals and other evil things to compromise folks, yeah, he's not the news. But the fact that the media has tried to cover this up and tried to defend it, the fact that they're censoring on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube right now any mention of this, or who's in the 2,000 pages of documents, all these top Democrats and others, and all the royalty and all the corporate heads, and this is just a few witnesses. This is all coming out, and the witnesses match up with flight logs. So, what happened? Well, people said, oh, it's the witness protection program. Well, I don't agree with that. Dead men don't tell tales, and they want to threaten the other witnesses. So, they famously have always had jail guards that for money will do whatever they're told. And whether it was jail guards that were in there before or jail guards that came in later, we don't know their names yet. CBS News is reporting that they heard yelling and shrieking as soon as two guards go in, one of them who didn't even work there. They're like, hey, we got Bob, but we need probably a two-man team. What if this Epstein can fight? We'll bring Charlie in, or whatever his name is. And as I was reading Paul Watson's article about this, before I even got into it, I said, oh, that's a classic cover. Boom, open the door, run in, you hear some shrieking, and say, oh, breathe, fight for your life, pal. Oh, you come on, Epstein, fight. Well, you got him in that chokehold. Oh, lights out, pal. Then they leave. This is incredible. CBS News is reporting that inmates are telling federal investigators, no, we heard the door open, screaming, yelling, begging, basically, and then right as that starts, oh, come on, Epstein, breathe, buddy. You can do it. That's exactly how you do this when you know people are listening. And that's textbook. So before I even read what Tim Pool was saying, investigative journalist, I have a lot of respect for, even though he goes for the stereotypes of me and doesn't ever give me credit. That's fine. He does great work. Shrieking and shouting heard from Epstein's cell the morning he died. Guard on duty was not a regular corrections officer. And they turned the cameras off, and they turned the lights off, and they told the other guards go home 30 minutes early. I mean, this is every default position was click, 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 turned off, just as Robert Barnes was saying yesterday. But one thing he forgot, this is also a super high-profile guy who everybody's saying they're going to kill right after all these bombshell documents come out. Oh, you don't think British royalty would have somebody killed? You don't think they can find jail guards that for $10 million will do this when they know they're protected? I'm sure CBS and Tim Pool are wrong. They didn't do nothing. They're nice boys. Shrieking and shouting was heard from Jeffrey Epstein's cell in the morning. He died while one of Epstein's guards at the Metropolitan Police Center was not a regular corrections officer. Brought in a special, the other guards go home, other guards, well, you'll all be taken care of. On the morning of Epstein's death, there was shouting and shrieking from his cell, reports CBS News. Corrections officers attempted to revive him while saying, breathe, breathe, Epstein, breathe. Like you're shoving your head in water. Breathe there, buddy. Oh, don't bleed to death while they stab you. Don't die. Boom. Oh, how'd that feel? Continuing, journalist Tim Pool even speculated that breathe, breathe could be shouted as cover for those same individuals acting and actually murdering Epstein. Oh, no. I'm imagining two guys standing and strangling Epstein while leaning out so that other inmates can hear them. Breathe. Oh, no. He's choking. Breathe. And they're strangling him in a sleeper hold, said Poole. And it goes on from there. This is CBS News reporting this. All the systems are turned off. All the regulars are sent home. The regular check it every 30 minutes. Oh, don't do that. Again, this is the most ridiculous, over-the-top thing I have ever seen. It makes my head spin. And you got to ask yourself, why are they so incredibly sloppy? It gets worse. And come back. Before we go to our guest, it's on Infowars.com. All that drone footage shot showed what was in his windows. Right before the FBI gets there, somebody cleans out all the computers and everything, and we have video of it. That's right. So who was on the island days before? Will the FBI ask that question? Or will people inside protect the Clintons again? So we're going to go to the man of the hour who shot video recently of Chris Cuomo, the big bully with no ratings, on CNN. This gentleman's been a guest on the broadcast before. He does a great job. We're going to be talking to him. That's the point with Brandon, who's obviously a big guy because Cuomo's a big guy, but this guy's a big guy. Talk about total posturing by Fredo Cuomo, as he's now known. That's coming up. But let me just finish up with this. Right center dead panel on DrudgeReport.com is the FBI scrambles after drone footage of Little Pedophile Island, Little St. Pedo, Jeffrey Epstein, shows that days before the FBI raids it, through the windows you see Apple computers, you see hard drives, you see wiring, you see equipment. It's all been expunged. It's all been scraped. It's all been taken out. It's all disappeared. So the FBI's out there snorkeling around. They're looking for everything. And look, most of the FBI's good. But the regular FBI gets sent out to look for it. The people inside the Justice Department, they know the raid that everybody's been asking for 10 years. I've been saying raid. Both that island and the bigger island he owned right next door. The reported tunnels, the dungeons that are all confirmed now. They didn't just fly kids in. They had smugglers bring kidnapped kids up in boats. That's been in the local news for 5 years. The people say, that is Devil's Island. That is Pito Island. There's like the mayors and stuff are like, we need help. They hurt the children on the island. We do not let our children go out at night. They take them there. The children disappear. It's like a Dracula's castle. You don't go out at night. You don't get near it. Those are 1,000-year-old legends. And now you see it again. And it was in the news out of Italy, major news. An island where they take children and others and have orgies and kill them. And there's now indictments happening. I know that sounds scary, but legends all come out of real things. Just type in human sacrifice in history. Every culture did it. From the ancient Asians to the ancient Africans to the Mesoamericans to all the Germanic tribes did human sacrifice. And the left always tried to cover that up. Why? Because they didn't want you to know it's ongoing. Things like Wicker Man. All of that's real, folks. Sometimes they'd want to kill the king. If things got really bad, they'd kill the king, Wicker Man. That's a Druidic thing, a Gaelic thing. Sometimes you'd kill his son if you really needed strength. I mean, the Druids would demand, the king's son or the king's daughter. They didn't just, the Aztecs sometimes would demand royalty be killed. So everybody does this stuff. Everybody repeats this stuff, and it's a real deal. So be sure and check out that article by Jamie White on drudgereport.com and realize we are overpowering the censors. Google and Twitter and Facebook, shame on them. Even mainline journalists that are talking about this are talking about the names on the 2,000 pages that is public, that a federal judge ordered released. So Mark Randazza, who's an InfoWars lawyer, he's coming on next hour, thanks to him and the work of Mike Cernovich. They are removing it and blocking it all over the place. There's articles everywhere about it. You think about signing on to evil, folks, and aiding and abetting and making themselves part of it.